Join me as we take a look around the vintage section at Oshkosh 25. We'll be looking at some of the beautiful planes on display and speaking with expert Tom Gilbert, who'll tell us a little bit more about the planes and some of the quirky little details that only he would know.
This is cool. Beach Staggerwing with a Royal Navy livery. I mean, this thing's been beautifully restored. It's roped off now, but I'll see if I can get a look around it a bit later. So anyone that's been following us would know that we are big fans of the Super Cub, and there is only one thing cooler than a Super Cub, and that is a Super Cub on floats. It says here that this was Grand Champion in 2014, and I'd say I disagree with that decision. Again, anyone that knows us probably know that we're maybe not huge Cessna fans, but this is kind of sexy. Obviously it lost in 2014 to the Piper. Alright, the air show has just ended. We got a bit of a respite from the noise, and I thought I would go around and have a look at some of the vintage planes with my friend Tom here. Tom is actually, he's kind of an expert in this because he's built, what is it, 14 Stearmans?
Something like that.
Yeah. He's also in the process of building a Spitfire, which will probably feature in some of our upcoming videos, so watch out for those. Alright, should we go and have a look at some aeroplanes then, mate?
Yeah, sure.
Given how much oil these radial engines normally leak, you know, in every second of usage.
They don't seem to leak here at all, do they?
I mean, these are pretty shiny, aren't they?
All old girls leak, but not these ones, eh? It's just nuts how shiny this is, isn't it? Yeah.
Can you explain to me why a Luscombe looks a bit like a Cessna? Are they related?
I don't think so. I mean, originally they were going to put a radial engine in them. That was the idea. That's why it's got the round front. But the factory, they ran out of money. So what they used to do is when they could afford it and the customer paid the money, they'd go and buy one engine. And because the Continental factory was just down the road, they had to change from a radial engine to a Continental. Yeah, you see, that's why the front was all round originally, to fit a radial engine on there.
I'll have to put some subtitles on Tom for the Americans, because he's from the countryside in England.
It's Travel Air.
Is it?
So Travel Air, they all worked in the Travel Air company, Stearman, Clyde Cessna, Walter Beach, and they left the Travel Air company and all set up their own different things. You know, and it's crazy, like now, 90 years on, they're all going back into the same company again, you know, with Textron. So it's sort of started where it started and it's finishing all in the same place again. You know, this is the start, and, you know, you wonder what's next for them.
The spark plug on the Travel Air.
You know, you're not going to bring up aircraft sprues and say, I want a set of these plugs. I mean, they've got to have been out of production for more than 100 years, I'd have thought.
It's amazing to keep this flying, and that's the other crazy thing about this air show is that everything here
is flown
in.
Yeah.
Bonkers. I think the Comanche is a really cool aircraft. Better with the tip tanks on. They said that God didn't want this plane to exist, right? They destroyed all the factories.
It were costing them so much money to build. When the factory got flooded, it was a convenient time to stop because they were losing money on every plane they were selling. You know?
Really?
Yeah. Just the labour that goes into building the wing. So the wing is the same design as the P-51. So it's got the P51 aerofoil, and that was what was costing Piper so much money.
Wow, I didn't know that. I thought they were cool before, and now I know it's got Mustang wings. That's I'm gonna have to get me one of these.
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, isn't that beautiful? I mean,
I think this might be one of the most beautiful looking planes at the whole show.
I mean, it's the ultimate family hauler, isn't it? You know, getting your beach and getting your beaver and go away for the weekend. We know one floats anywhere you want. It's a great aeroplane, and you know, with these amphib floats, I mean, they're probably worth the same as the plane. You know, I mean, this is
the floats are worth as much as the airplane.
That's probably that plane there is probably $500,000-$600,000, and you've probably got a $400,000 set of floats.
I think it's really nice to see the beaver out here on dry land, but what you really want is a wet beaver, right?
Oh, we all want a wet beaver.
How big's that radial engine in it?
That's a 450 Wasp Junior. So yeah, 450 horsepower, 985 cubic inches. So that's drinking some fuel.
How much?
Probably 22 gallons an hour cruise. Maybe on takeoff 50 gallons an hour. You know, but if you can afford a plane like this, you don't worry about the fuel burn. You know, that's that you almost take that as a given. You know, yeah. That's like buying your shopping and paying for the carrier bag afterwards. You know, you know. She's a beauty.
It's a nice looking aeroplane, isn't it?
Someone else obviously thought so as well, eh? You know, giving it an award.
What's special about a Cub? Because it does
There's
hold
nothing special about a Cub.
You know, they're underpowered.
There's nothing special about a Cub.
You know,
A Cub is one of those iconic things. You know, it's like having a Beetle or a Volkswagen camper van. You know you're going to break down. You know it's not going to be fast, but it's iconic. It's got that look, and everywhere you turn up, everyone's like, "Well, that's a cool guy in a Cub." You know, and you're not going to beat that.
It holds a special place, doesn't it? The Cub.
We were down the lake this morning, weren't we? And there was 5 or 6 J3 Cubs down the lake, and Mauls and Super Cubs, and you know, a Cub's a proper aeroplane. It's the American dream, you know, flying across the states, following the railroad track, you know, with the door open in your Cub, you know.
I could do that.
That'll be cool, yeah.
Completely useless in England. You fly a Bonanza.
So yeah, I got a much later F-33, but you know.
Would you have a VTOL?
Yeah, I would, but I'd love one like this, like a real classic. I mean, that's a 1948. You know, I mean, imagine what sort of a guy you'd have been in 1948 to be turning up in that. I mean, so this early Bonanza, they made them at the same time as they were finishing off the last few Staggerwings, and this was the same speed as a Staggerwing and a quarter of the cost. So. You can see why the Staggerwings days were numbered when you're, turning out modern sleek planes like this for a quarter of the price.
So I really like this, but it needs radial engines, doesn't it?
It would have had radial engines originally, but yeah. So these widgeons were built with radial engines, and then stuff like this. Although we think of it as a plane which is like 40s plane, is still in everyday use in the States. So for practicality, you put a more modern set of engines on it, but it's still the same airframe. I mean, just recently Paddington Bear was flying this around in Peru, so it's they're still going, aren't they?
It's got a real nice, I like that lifestyle associated with the idea of a float plane, and this
we all like the idea of stopping going to work and just get off in a float plane.
Yeah, exactly.
Land on a barrier island and put the anchor down. But
I like the idea of that sort of pilot/pirate. Yeah.
For a lot of us, it's not an option, is it? They only made 34 of these planes.
34?
34, yeah. There was the Millionaire's plane, about half back in the day. I mean, they're real tight up front, but they're made in the back just like a sofa, because it was just executive transport. My friend back in the UK, he's got a couple, and one of his ones was previously owned by John Wayne. So
John Wayne had one of these?
Yeah, so John Wayne had one. He was flown around in a...
So this is a big swinging dick plane?
This is the plane to be having. And I think there's 6 of them in the States still. I think they're surviving in Last year they had 5 of them here at this airship, and they got two here today.
So this is really special then?
So yeah, it's a rare plane, and this is the sort of thing you find at Oshkosh and nowhere else, you know. So I think it says 1940 on this. Yeah, 1940, you're doing 190 mile out in the cruise.
190 miles an hour in the cruise in 1940 must have felt pretty special.
You know, there's some pictures of people riding up to a plane on a horse. You know, back in the day, you know, you ride up on a horse and get in this and fly off, and you know, today we can't even beat that sort of performance. You know, it's a new aircraft made by the Wacko, company of Texas. You know, a lot of them have got glass cockpits in them, completely glass. You know, and for an aircraft, we all think of it as something that's going to be 80 years old, but it's not.
So this the Wacko is basically a new plane. I mean, I can see the LED lights in it now. It doesn't look out of place in this vintage field, but it's not a vintage aeroplane.
No, it's you know, I think it's on 125 hours from new. You know, so you're basically buying a new plane, and you've got all the reliability of a new plane, but you know, everyone looks at it and thinks it's something which is, you know, 80 years old, you know, like everything else that's here.
They look really cool.
You could argue it shouldn't really be parked in the,
the
classic.
We should move on. Excuse the noise of the air display. We found a Staggerwing. Now, I love the look of a Staggerwing. There was a lot of Staggerwings here earlier. They seem to have dissipated.
Everyone else packed up and gone home, haven't they? But,
what is it you love about the Staggerwings? Because they're special to you, aren't they?
No, you just love it. I mean, a Staggerwing, I've always wanted one. I can't afford one, so I bought one in pieces. Now I thought, well, I still can't afford one, so I bought a second one in pieces. So one day we'll get around to putting them back together. But you know, it's just an iconic plane. You know, you've got that ramp appeal when you turn up somewhere. You've done over 200 miles an hour on the way in there. You could have flown 1,000 miles to that place without refueling. You know, people would say they call it a flying refinery because you've got 6 tanks. You know, which is pretty impressive. And you know, but it was made as a plane just to fly across the states. You know, in the 30s and 40s. Yeah, that's what they built them for. You know, I mean, they even used to do a demo because it was the first sort of plane to be retractable. People were really cagey, you know, and they had an aircraft where they used to lock the propeller in the horizontal position, and then they'd land and do a demonstration to show that they could land the plane with the wheels up. And then they had a old Model T with a crane on it, and they'd pick it back up and just fly back off again. You know, they just sort of to prove to the public that it was safe, you know.
And it's beautiful looking.
Yeah, I mean, you know, these things, the quality of the build is so phenomenal. You know, it's not a Chinese-made thing. You know, it's a proper, you know, it's proper. When America was a great country making stuff, and you know, 80 years later you can rebuild it, and it's fine. You know, and you haven't just sort of repaired it for the next 5 years. You've repaired it for the next 80 years.
So you'd have looked like an absolute king turning up in one of these back in the day.
I think you'd have, you know, this would have been your Learjet at the time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you see a lot of them were owned by oil companies, big manufacturing companies. You know, it wasn't really the private man's plane. You know.
And well, it certainly isn't the private man's plane on my budget. So go on then, what's this?
So this is a Stinson Reliant. They used them in the war, and then after the war, you know, a lot of them got sold off into private hands. I used to look after a Stinson for a guy, and we traced the history back, and that used to be owned by General LeMay, and he used to wind the window down and smoke his cigar. I mean, you can tell what sort of size plane it is. You know, it's got the you know, it's got a pool ladder to get into it, you know, I mean, it's a big old lumbering ship, you know, I mean, it's got a big engine, it doesn't go very fast, you know, but it is cool, you know, it's got the biggest wing you're going to see.
So what was it used for, just as an auxiliary plane, getting people around?
Just a transport plane, yeah, just for transporting people around.
How old were you when you were flying this?
So I was doing about 18. I bought one back in from the States. The guy said to me, you know, could I put it back together? So we put it back together. And then I was 18, it was outside the hangar. I thought, well, I can fly this. So, you know, off we were, you know, and we used to really struggle when we go somewhere to fill it up because nowhere had a ladder that was big enough. So my brother used to jump on my shoulders, and then someone passing the hose up, and we'd stand on each other's shoulders and fill the. Yeah, when we worked out how we could fill it up, but then we struggled with how we could pay for the bill when it came through. But
I'll bet that takes
this thing drinks a bit of fuel, and when you're 20, you know, you can easily spend your pocket money on the week's on your fuel.